The golden rule is found in Matthew 7:12 in the middle of the Sermon on the Mount. So in everything, Jesus says, do to others what you would have them do to you. This sums up the law and the prophets. All of the religious writings is summed up in just this. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Do to others the way you would want them to do to you. He teaches a love ethic that is based on empathic initiative. Empathic initiative, or other-centered action. In other words, this is how you make your mind up of what's right and what's wrong. First, you practice empathy or other-centeredness. You project yourself into another person's situation. What if I were in that person's shoes, in that person's place? As I am in this person, you then ask the question, being in that person's place, what would I want other people to bring to me, do to me, offer me, challenge me? How would I want other people to initiate care in my life? What would I want them to do? Then I step out of that situation, and now I am the doer of the deed, and I initiate loving kindness. This is unparalleled in religious teaching. Even as I say that, some of you are saying, wait a second, I've heard that the golden rule is universal, that all religions teach some form of the golden rule. That's not true. That's a bit of a stretch. That's a half-truth. People are fudging on that when they say it. And when your friends say that, you need to hold them accountable to that. Say, well, wait a second. At the very least, we know this. Not all religions even touch on it at all. Those that do touch on it in the negative, not in the positive. In other words, they say things like this. Confucius says, never impose on others what you would not choose for yourself. The Baha'u'llah of the Baha'i faith says, ascribe not to any soul that which thou wouldst not have ascribed to thee. The Buddha said, hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. The Hindu scriptures say one should never do that to another which one regards as injurious to one's own self. Even Wicca, a much more recent religion, says, if it harms none, then do what you want. In other words, do whatever you want, just don't hurt anybody. Isn't that the ethic of our time? Look at this, not my business, not your business, not my business. I'm not hurting anybody, just leave me alone. I'm going to do what I want, okay? Not hurting anybody. Here's the problem with this, though. This is nowhere close to the golden rule. The ethic of empathic initiative changes the world. It changes relationships. It changes people's lives. The, hey, I'm not hurting anybody, leave me alone, ethic does not change anything. It is not enough to stand by passively, not contributing to harm when the world is in the state that it's in. This is not the golden rule masquerading in other religions. At best, it's silver. Maybe bronze. Only Jesus goes for the gold. So what you have here is an ethic of non-involvement in the silver rule. You have the ethic of non-action, and as long as you're not doing bad, you think that you're on par with the teaching of Jesus. No, not close. You're inactive, and inactive changes nothing. When I think of this, I think of a very strange story. I got to tell it to you, though. It happened a few months back. I was at the gym, and that's not the strange part. Hold on. You guys are so mean. All right, so I'm at the gym. I'm in the change room. I'm the only guy in the change room. I had walked into the gym, normal every day. Everyone, hey, hi, how you doing? Yeah, I go into the change room. I get changed. And when I walk out of the gym, out of the change room, into the regular part of the gym, something has changed. The music that usually playing is stopped. There's dead silence, and everyone is standing there still. No one is on any machine. No one is lifting weights. No one's doing anything. They've all gotten off, and they're all standing there. They're all just facing different directions, standing there. And I stop, and I look around, and I have no context for this. I don't know if you know what's going on. I had no idea what's going on. This is all true. It's just how it went. And I start looking around, and I'm thinking, what could it be? Is this like candid camera? Am I being punked? Is there some? And then my mind finally went to, I think, what was the only rational explanation that I could fathom. Aliens. Right? It had to be aliens. I thought aliens have now taken over the world, and they've taken over at least everyone's body at the gym, and they didn't get me because I was in the change room. They missed me, and now I need to turn around and run. Now, at this point, I challenged myself, said, Bruxy, now you're just thinking stupid thoughts. Because, Bruxy, you know that if you run, they'll know that you're not one of them. You need to stand still. So I stand perfectly still While in my head, I'm working out how I, as last potentially still human, is going to take a stand for humanity against the alien horde. I'm standing there just trying to blend in, and then I notice there's a woman over here who's looking at me. She probably notices I'm a bit uncomfortable and questioning what's going on, and she looks at me and she smiles. And when she does that, I realize something. There's two of us that are left alive on the planet. I'm not alone in this. And she is obviously doing the same thing. She's fitting in. She's sending me the signal. Just stand still. They won't know. So I stand there thinking, all right, I'm trying to give her the eye signals, the kind of eye signals. They're like, I know what you know, and we're in this together, and when you say the word, we are going to go, and we are going to do this thing. We're going to rock and roll, baby, all right? And we're going to, in a very pacifist way, we are going to take back this planet for humanity. Are you ready? And I'm sitting there just trying to sort it out, and my heart's racing. My heart's racing. And then this voice comes over the loudspeaker of the whole gym and says this. You know what it said? You know what it said? Do you guys know? Do you know what the punchline to this story is? Some of you do, some of you don't. I'm glad some of you don't, or else I would just feel completely stupid because I still didn't figure it out. And then the voice says, this concludes our minute of silence. Thank you for participating in our Remembrance Day ceremony. Seriously. Why did that never dawn on me? I had completely forgotten this was Remembrance Day, and my timing was just perfect. I had no idea. I had my cardio workout for the day, actually. I just got dressed and went home. When I think of this idea of the silver rule masquerading as the golden rule, I think of that moment. A bunch of people standing at the gym. You know what? They're not hurting anybody. They're not hurting a fly. But they're also not doing anything to make the world a better place. They're not helping themselves. They're not exercising. They're not helping anyone else. They're just staying out of everybody else's way. I think of a bunch of people practicing the silver rule as a bunch of people saying, I'm not, hey. That's what it leads to. It's not enough. Only Jesus teaches and models and practices the intuitive, empathetic initiative, the other-centered action of the golden rule. And I think it has the potential to change lives. I told you this story before, but I'll just mention this before I throw it in a Q&A. There was a summer where my daughters were going to a summer camp. It's a summer camp that gives an opportunity for able-bodied children and children with physical disability, as well as children with mental disabilities, to all just kind of come together and be one. And it was a day camp, and so we found out about this place, wanted my girls to go to it, and every day just hang out with kids who are different to them, and to just love on them, and to grow themselves through the process. And I remember that summer, as my kids were young, wanting to teach them the golden rule. Not the silver rule, to teach them the ethic of Jesus, the love ethic of Jesus. And remember, when I was dropping them off the first morning, we've been talking about how it's important not just to not do bad and to say, therefore, I'm a good person because I don't do bad. And so I was saying to them, it's not enough just to not be rude or not pick on someone or not call them a name. Your goal every day, we'll talk about it every day, and your goal for today will be to find some way to take the initiative, I don't know if I use those words, but to be the first to do something good for somebody. That's what Jesus calls us to do. You have to think about what they would need, and then you go and you do it. And I remember dropping them off, and we got out of the car, and I said, okay, you guys ready for this? And I said, just a reminder, if you don't do anything bad, that doesn't really make you a loving person. That gives you about the status of, and there was this rock sitting over in the grass. It's about the status of that rock. It makes you about as loving as a rock. Because what does that rock do that's bad? Nothing. But what does that rock do that's good? Nothing. It just sits there. And Jesus wants your love to go beyond that of a rock. And so I told my girls, that means you need to rock on. Right? So, and they got it. And that became, for that week, that became our little family cheer. So every morning I'd drop them off and we'd have our little reminder. I'd go, rock on. They'd go, rock on. And then at the end of the day, so how did you rock on today? And we would talk about rock on for Jesus. And that's the truth. The silver rule leads to a bunch of alien-possessed zombies. Or a bunch of apathetic, it's not my business, I'm not hurting anybody, so leave me alone. It is not a close second. I don't even think calling it the silver is worth it. It's at least a bronze or less, especially because it masquerades as the golden rule, and when it's not changing anything. Only Jesus has this. It's worth saying, wow, what is this bearing the mark of?